When I was sick, I was very offended by the idea or the possibility of recovery. I didn't think that recovery was possible. Hearing about others recovering kind of pissed me off. Phenomenon of being offended by the possibility of our own happiness. I don't think that it's unique to eating disordered individuals, although it certainly is quite prominent in us. It certainly occurs with other addicts, with people struggling with other addictions. I also think that it's just a common occurrence in humans in general. If we're offended by the possibility of being happy, why would someone be offended by that? It's, we all want to be happy, right? I mean, that's, at the end of the day, really the ultimate goal. Therefore, the only reason that we would resist that, the only logical explanation for it, is that we don't feel that we deserve it. Why don't we think we deserve happiness? It's a loaded question, obviously. But you basically have to ask yourself, ask that part of you why you don't deserve happiness. Not why do you think I don't deserve happiness, but why don't I deserve happiness? Just a very straight up question. But to answer that question, my suggestion is to make a list. And my mom is going to laugh really hard when she hears that, because she tells me to make lists all the time to organize myself, my life, and I'm very resistant. Make a list describing yourself. Put down all the adjectives or the labels or the attributes that you believe describe who you are. And more than likely, there will be at least a couple negative or undesirable traits or labels that you identify with. Making that list is just kind of the beginning, but I think it's a really good place to start, because you can look at all those labels and try to trace their origin. You are worthy of happiness, and you do deserve happiness. You deserve recovery. You deserve to not be suffering. The things on your list, even if some of them are true, there may be labels or maybe things that you've done in the past that you feel guilty about, and we all have those things. But if we let them define us, then we'll never become anything else. Your list is either going to be full of negative things that are untrue or negative things that are true that you need to forgive yourself for and move past. Either way, all of those things are irrelevant to whether or not you deserve happiness and whether or not you deserve recovery. For those things on the list that aren't true, they most likely came from past experience or past relationships with family or friends or in significant others, or even, authority figures or teachers or coaches or classmates, bullies, anyone in your life who may have come up with a way to describe you that you internalized as being 100% real and legit and haven't questioned since then. And once you can find where those labels came from or where those adjectives came from, it makes it a lot easier to recognize them as untrue and let them go. Even if at one point they were true, or even if they're true now, those things don't define you, and they sure as hell do not determine whether or not you deserve happiness. Some of those ideas will be really easy to let go of once you've recognized them as being extraneous and inconsequential. Other ones will be harder. Other ones will take a long time to root out of your relationship with yourself and the way that you view who you are. But I think that that's a really good place to start. it's something that I've started suggesting to anyone who asks me for advice in regards to eating disorder recovery. Ultimately, there were times that I dabbled in eating unlimited calories, and I felt amazing, but I didn't realize yet that I deserved to feel amazing. And there would be some little moment or triggering event that would knock me off of eating unlimited calories and taking care of myself, because I wasn't yet doing it for that core reason of truly believing that I deserved it and deserved to be alive and be here and happy and healthy. Being carved up, I think of as like kind of the basis of working towards recovery or being recovered. But what lies even further below that, and where the roots of that have to grow out of, is loving yourself, basically, and believing that you deserve to be carved up. Because if you don't believe that you deserve it, then you'll never do it, or you won't keep doing it. Something will knock you off course. And it'll be a process, learning to realize that you deserve it. But the sooner you start on that, you just keep getting more practice of reaffirming it doesn't matter what happens outside of myself and what happens to me. Or it's all irrelevant when it comes to whether or not you deserve happiness and health and to live and to eat food. The more solidly you realize that, the less you will be vulnerable to relapse or vulnerable to being triggered into any of your self-destructive habits. I guess I should dedicate this video to my mother, because I never would have come up with the idea of making a list if it weren't for her. Make a list. This was supposed to be a really short video, but it's not. So I hope it was helpful. If you're offended by your unhappiness, there's some part of you that believes you don't deserve it. Why?